On Global TV News Prime, Department of State Services rescue kidnapped Secretary Kibiya Local Government Area of Kano State. In business, Central Bank of Nigeria says Nigerian banks raise over 4 trillion naira amidst recapitalization drive. On the foreign scene, United States boosts missile production as Iran rejects peace plans. In sports, Court of Arbitration confirms Senegal African Cup of Nations 2025 title appeal. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. And now the news in details. President Bola Tinubu has returned to Abuja after observing the Eid al-Fitr holiday in Lagos State following his recent state visit to the United Kingdom. According to his spokesman, Bayo Onanuga, the president departed the presidential wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport after hosting 23 governors and the European Union delegation and key political stakeholders. Vice President Kashim Shettima also briefed him during the visit as top government officials and party leaders gathered to see him off at the airport. The federal government has tightened enforcement measures in Almajiri learning centers nationwide, warning that non-compliance with newly established operational standards will attract sanctions, including closure. Details of the measures are contained in the National Policy on the Enhancement of Almajiri Education in Nigeria, released by the Federal Ministry of Education. The policy covers operation and management of all Almajiri learning centers, males and females, across the country. A federal high court in Abuja has ordered the final forfeiture of $13 million linked to businesswoman Aisha Chimugu and her firm, Ocean Gate Engineering Oil and Gas Limited, ruling that the funds were proceeds of unlawful activities. The court held that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) proved its case, noting that the company failed to provide credible evidence of legitimate source of the money or present witnesses to support its claims. The judge further ruled that the burden of proof was not discharged, rejecting assertions that the funds were gifts and affirming the government's right to seize the assets. The federal government has launched a new twinning project aimed at boosting agricultural value chains and achieving food sovereignty through the climate-smart technologies. The initiative, unveiled in Abuja, is a collaboration between Nigeria and the European Union alongside member states including Czech Republic, Austria and Latvia to promote a more resilient and sustainable agricultural system. Representing the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, describes the project as a major step in transforming Nigeria's agricultural sector. Also speaking, the EU ambassador to Nigeria, Gaita Mignot, said the project will help bridge the gaps between policy and implementation in the sector. He added that the initiative will strengthen institutions, promote climate-smart practices, and deliver practical solutions to improve productivity, reduce losses, and support farmers and agri-businesses across the country. The Department of State Services in Kano State has rescued the kidnapped secretary to Kibiya Local Government Area, Hamza Musa. The DSS confirmed that 2 suspects have been arrested and are currently undergoing interrogations, while efforts are ongoing to apprehend others still at large. Correspondent Idris Jibrin reports.
On the 20th of this month, 4 suspected kidnappers reportedly stormed the residence of Alhaji Hamza Musa in Kibiya Local Government Area of Kano State. He was abducted and a ransom of 100 million naira was demanded for his release. After nearly 4 days in captivity, operatives of the Department of State Services launched a discreet operation leading to the successful rescue of the victim. 2 suspects have been arrested in connection with the abduction, while 2 others remain at large. Preliminary investigations revealed that the suspects allegedly acted on information provided by an informant in Kibia, who gave them details about the victim's residence and occupation. One of the suspects stated that they operate from Rijana in Kaduna State but moved into Kano after receiving information that the victim was a government official believed to have access to substantial funds. Although visibly shaken, Alhaji Hamza Musa was rescued unharmed. He recounted being held at gunpoint throughout his ordeal, noting that the swift intervention of the DSS operatives saved his life. In a statement signed by the Kano State Commissioner for Information and Internal Affairs, Abdullahi Waya, the state government commended the DSS for what it described as a discreet and professional operation that led to the successful rescue. Efforts are ongoing to track down the remaining suspects. From Kano, Idris Jibrin, Global Television News. On the 20th.
In the meantime, the Defense Headquarters has said that border security and indigenous technological advancement will form key pillars of Nigeria's future defense strategy. In a statement signed by the Director of Defense Information, Major General Samaila Uba, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oloyede, made this known at the inaugural lecture of the Joint Doctrine and Warfare Center. Oloyede said the military is entering a new era of strategic military evolution, stressing that self-reliance and regional collaborations are critical to addressing security challenges. He said the armed forces are prioritizing the strengthening of local defense production through the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria and other local manufacturers, while also recognizing the important role of border security to national internal security and the need to maintain good relations and cooperation with neighboring countries. The newly appointed Commissioner of Police, Federal Capital Territory Command, CP Ahmed Mohammed Sanusi, has pledged a tough, intelligence-driven approach to policing, declaring that there will be no hiding place for criminals in Abuja. Addressing journalists during his inaugural press briefing, the Commissioner expressed gratitude to the Inspector General of Police, IGP Olatunji Rilwan Disu, for the confidence reposed in him, assuring Nigerians of his commitment to duty. Kikelomo Okere reports.
CP Ahmed Sanusi, who has officially taken over leadership of the command as the 35th Commissioner of Police, stated that he will build on the achievement of his predecessors while introducing new strategies aimed at strengthening security across the territory. He emphasized that under his leadership, the command will adopt proactive and professional policing methods with a strong focus on crime prevention and intelligence gathering. The Commissioner issued a stern warning to criminal elements, advising them to leave the FCT or face the full weight of the law, stressing that the command will stop at nothing to ensure safety of residents.
We shall leave no stone unturned in ensuring that criminal elements are identified, pursued, and flushed out of the FCT. My objective is not only to respond to crime, but to deter and prevent it before it occurs.
The CP also charged officers and men of the command to uphold discipline and professionalism at all times, noting that misconduct will not be tolerated. He therefore called on residents of FCT to support security agencies by providing timely and useful information, reiterating that policing is a collective responsibility.
It's clear that no form of indiscipline or unprofessional conduct will be tolerated. All personnel must remain civil in their interactions with members of the public and uphold the highest standards of professionalism in the discharge of their duties.
The CP assures the public of open door policy and reaffirmed the command's commitment to protecting lives and property. Kikelomo Okere, Global Television News. CP Ahmed.
Let's now turn our attention to politics, where the Media and Publicity Committee of the 2026 National Convention of the All Progressive Congress, APC, has announced that the party will hold a World Press Conference on Thursday this week to unveil its plan and preparations for the upcoming convention. The disclosure was made by the co-chairman of the committee and the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, during the committee's meeting. He called on members of the committee to work together in unity to ensure effective communication and successful delivery of the convention. Idris noted that the forthcoming convention, scheduled for March 27 to 28, 2026 in Abuja, represents an important milestone for the party as it continues to strengthen its internal structure and democratic process. Now, as the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) unveils a revised draft of its 2026 regulations and guidelines for political parties, reactions from party leaders reveal both support and skepticism. Anita Patrick reports.
The draft rules aimed at strengthening internal democracy and transparency ahead of the 2027 elections have sparked debate among Nigeria's political class. Addressing journalists after the meeting, prominent political activist and party leader Omoyele Sowore stressed that political parties must assert their independence. He criticized parties for being overly compliant and not driving their own process. Sowore emphasized that parties should be proactive in challenging electoral rules that they feel limit democratic participation rather than treating internal party consultations as mere formalities.
I expected the political parties to take a joint position on these issues, not to come and be begging INEC in the meeting to help them. We should take a public position without coming to INEC. Say, look, if these electoral laws do not permit our full participation in what we know as participatory democracy, we will not participate. We will boycott your election for you. Go and do the election. Since already you are doing it in such a way that you already know the winner anyways, it's going to be another selection.
Meanwhile, Nenadi Usman, a leader of the Labour Party, highlighted the party's plans for internal primaries. She explained that while aspirants are free to contest, the party has made strategic decisions to focus on certain regions and ensure internal democracy. Usman added that the Labour Party has zoned its presidential ticket to the south, as the decision was a firm policy shift intended to provide clarity for prospective aspirants ahead of the next general election.
We were all briefed about the new changes in the Electoral Act, just to make sure that political parties know what they should do and when they should do it, because you know most of the things the INEC does is time sensitive. So if you don't know when to submit a name, when to upload a name, you are bound to run into issues. So they took their time and explained everything to us, and it was really very nice.
Both leaders agreed that political parties must balance internal organization with national electoral expectations. As INEC's drafts guidelines await further stakeholder input, parties are being urged to clarify their positions publicly and ensure their members' voices are represented. Anita Patrick reporting for Global TV News. The drafts.
The Labour Party has postponed its ward, local government and state congresses as well as its national convention, earlier scheduled to begin on Thursday, March 26, 2026. The party cited the need to allow broader participation in its ongoing membership re-registration exercise. This was disclosed in a statement issued in Abuja by the senior special advisor to the interim national chairman on media, Ken Eloma Asagwa. The development marks a shift from the party's earlier timetable, which had slated ward congresses for March 26, followed by local government congresses on March 28, state congresses on March 31, and a national convention on April 11, 2026. You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime. News Prime continues after this weather forecast plus business, foreign, and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Going into Thursday, we expect increased cloud buildup across the central region. This cloud cover is likely to raise the levels of thermal discomfort in the region. So for the morning hours, thunderstorms are expected to pass of Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Rivers and Bayelsa State. And as we move into the afternoon, more moisture is expected to flow inland from the Atlantic Ocean, reaching as far as part of the northern cities. This surge in moisture should trigger thundery activities with or without rainfall over parts of Adamawa, Taraba and Yelwa in Kebbi State. Thunderstorms are also possible to southern Kaduna Plateau, extending to parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Niger, Benue, and Kogi State. We also expect thunderstorms to much of the southern half of the country. Temperatures are expected to remain high across the country, so please take necessary precaution when heading out. I am Akani Samarda, and I'll see you again.
You're welcome back from that break, and now to business news, where the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Olayemi Cardoso says Nigerian banks have raised 4.61 trillion naira in fresh capital under the ongoing recapitalization program, with about 27% coming from foreign investors as the March 31 deadline approaches. He says the initiative has strengthened the resilience of the banking sector despite economic reforms, while also expanding the footprint of Nigerian banks across Africa and inspiring similar reforms on the continent. Cardoso adds that the Apex Bank is enforcing strict corporate governance, restricting services to chronic defaulters, and pushing for stronger regulatory collaboration across Africa to safeguard financial stability. Meanwhile, a federal high court in Lagos State, has presided over by Justice Chukwujeku Aneke, has nullified the central bank's dissolution of the board and management of Union Bank of Nigeria, declaring the move unlawful. The court ordered the immediate reinstatement of the bank's former leadership and set aside all decisions taken by the CBN-appointed board, while restraining the Apex Bank from further action concerning the bank. The ruling followed a suit by core shareholders, including Titan Trust Bank and others, who argued that the CBN's intervention and proposed recapitalization were carried out without due process. Stakeholders and professionals in the aviation industry have adopted different positions regarding the allegations that some airlines were involved in price fixing during last festive season in Nigeria. The development follows the investigation by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, which indicted 5 unnamed domestic carriers, a move that has continued to generate debate across the sector. The airlines operating under the umbrella of the Airline Operators of Nigeria have rejected the Commission's findings. They argue that the FCCPC lacks the technical expertise to interpret airline economics, and have warned that such conclusions could threaten the survival of domestic carriers. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority regulates safety and technical operations in this sector. The FCCPC has broader powers to intervene in matters relating to competition and consumer protection across industries. He argued that the sharp increase in tickets priced during the festive period could not be sufficiently justified by airlines, adding that regulatory oversight was necessary to prevent the exploitation of passengers. Still talking business, the ambitious deal between the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is facing challenges as the refinery experienced a crude supply shortfall of approximately 79.53 million barrels between October 2025 and mid-March 2026. Data obtained from a senior management source within the refinery indicated that the facility, which requires approximately 19.77 million barrels of crude monthly to operate at full capacity, received significantly lower volumes during the review month. The official argued that under the Petroleum Industries Act, the export of crude before meeting local demand was clearly prohibited, stressing that the $20 billion Lekki-based plant had been grappling with inadequate crude volumes, while the country, through the NNPC, continued to export some of its oil. And now to news making rounds on the forensic. Kenyan authorities have exhumed 32 bodies and fetus from a mass grave in the Rift Valley town of Karichi after a report of a secret burial. Police had reportedly received a report about the mass burial of 14 bodies by unknown individuals at a cemetery in the western Kenyan town, prompting investigations. Uyi Agbomofuegbe completes the report.
Following the shocking revelation, the area was cordoned off and a probe launched. Government pathologist Dr. Richard Njoroge noted that analysis will determine whether they belong to one person or several.
What we have found is quite unusual. It was one mass grave and the bodies were stacked in gunny bags. We found 7 adults and 25 children who qualify. Some of them are neonates and others are fetuses. So in total, we have 32 bodies. We also found 6 body parts, 4 legs and 2 hands. We will plan for autopsies to determine the causes of death. Some of these look like they have come from mortuaries and others from hospitals. But we are going to determine that when we finish with the autopsy exercise.
Authorities have yet to establish the cause of death, and autopsies are expected to be carried out in the coming days. In 2023, hundreds of bodies were discovered in the Kenya coast in what became known as the Shakalola Forest Massacre, one of the world's worst cult-related tragedies. Uyi Agbomofuegbe reporting for Global TV News. Following the
Let's move away from Africa to the United States, where the Department of Defense has signed new agreements with major defense contractors, including Lockheed Martin and BAE Systems, to significantly increase missile production amidst rising demands from the Middle East conflict. The move follows heavy use of advanced systems like THAAD and precision strike missiles to counter Iranian attacks, raising concerns over dwindling stockpiles and pushing the defense industry onto a wartime footing. Meanwhile, Iran has rejected a United States-backed peace proposal, insisting it will determine the terms and timing of any ceasefire for the deepening tensions in the region. In a related development, Iran says the passing through the Strait of Hormuz ships must comply with its security regulations and coordinate their passage with relevant authorities. According to its mission to the United Nations, Iran stated it is easing restrictions on the transit through the Strait of Hormuz. It noted that vessels not deemed hostile and not supporting military actions against Tehran may pass. And now talking sport. The Senegalese Football Federation has filed an appeal with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, challenging CAF's decision to strip the country of the 2025 African Cup of Nations title. The ruling had awarded the title to Morocco after Senegal was found to have breached competition rules following a player walk-out protest during the tournament. Senegal is seeking to overturn the decision and be reinstated as champions, while also requesting a suspension of appeal timelines pending full details of CAF's ruling. Away from football, Team Nigeria will depart for Botswana today to compete in the Lafika International Relays, a critical final window for securing berth at the upcoming World Athletics Relay Championships. The contingent, traveling via Ethiopian Airlines, aims to qualify the remaining 4 relays teams for the global showpiece scheduled for May, while Nigeria's women's 100 meters and 400 meters squad have already secured their spot. The International Basketball Federation has intervened in the protracted leadership crisis within the Nigerian Basketball Federation, formally recognizing the engineer Ahmedou Musa Kida-led board and establishing a non-negotiable deadline for new elections in a move intended to quell months of administrative instability. A letter dated March 16, 2026 and signed by FIBA Secretary General Andreas Zaglis confirmed that the world governing body recognizes the current board's mandate as valid through October 15, 2026. But FIBA has dictated a strict roadmap for the NBBF's transition, ordering the new elections must be conducted only after the conclusion of the 2026 FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup. As Global TV News Prime comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. The Department of State Services in Kano State has rescued the kidnapped secretary to Kibia Local Government Council, Hamza Musa. In business, Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Olayemi Cardoso says Nigerian banks have raised 4.61 trillion naira in fresh capital under the ongoing recapitalization program. On the foreign scene, we brought to you that the United States Department of Defense has signed new agreements with major defense contractors, including Lockheed Martin and Base Systems, to significantly increase missile production amidst rising demands from the Middle East conflict. In sport, you heard that the Senegalese Football Federation has filed an appeal with the Court of Arbitration for Sports, challenging CAF's decision to strip the country of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations title. That's it on News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms, now showing on your screen, using @Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim. Saying a very big thank you for watching.